daily life is a gift, and the fact that you see each day is also a gift. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm Neota Igbe.
Well, you decide how you want to use your gift, but I believe it'll always be for good. Good morning and welcome. I'm Mbamalu Yusuf.
And you start well with Sunrise Daily and you'll maximize it, I guarantee you. Good morning and welcome. I am Bukola Koka.
You're all talking about your day. And today is May 9, 2023. If you have an appointment today, well, now you know it's May 9. And for those who have a Supreme Court appointment, well, that is it. Let's get into this conversation this morning. We have a guest with us for the papers today. Dr. Marcel Mbamalu is publisher, editor-in-chief, Prime Business Africa. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, for having me.
Let's begin with the Guardian newspaper today. And of course, it leads with politics, as has been the culture in a few days from now. Discontent as aspirants, minority caucus reject Akpabio Abbas. That story you'll find the details of on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Well, it is on the front page this morning, Dr. Mbamalu, but there are those who wonder whether or not it's new.
Well, I must tell you that, before this time, we're having some discussion about what is happening at the political terrain, where aberration, always has a way of becoming the rule and the norm. I was talking to a friend and I said, we shouldn't be at this stage now where we are, where things that should be the preserve of the National Assembly themselves, is becoming like a public issue. Who are supposed to appoint or elect leadership or leaders of the National Assembly? They are the lawmakers who are appointed, who are elected to be there. But we find a situation where the party, and since 1999 this has been happening, I think maybe from 2003, where the executive of government tries to control who emerges. We have three arms of government. We have the executive, we have the legislature, we have the judiciary. How independent would you say the judiciary is, the legislature is, if the executive of government has control, or the political party as it were? Of course, the political party has the right to say, okay, we prefer this, but by and large, it has to be the job of those on the floor.
But at the end of the day, is what it is. I mean, this is Section 50 of the Constitution that makes that clear. And some of the senators, both on the party side and on the other side, have continued to say the same thing, that look, they may do all the announcement, selection, whatever it is, but at the end of the day, it's their own thing.
Even though, it rarely happened before, there was upset. There could be an upset. In fact, we pray there are upsets, because
like
because it's Australia is an affront on democracy for we to begin to decide for the House who should lead them. Of course, we can say our mind. We can decide to say, okay, this is person we want. We don't want this person. We want this. But then the House has the right to choose who leads them, and I think that is what should happen now. I think it's diversionary talking about who should be the Senate President, who should be the Speaker of the House, when it is the job of the House themselves to appoint those to lead them.
I guess we'll wait to see how the House themselves.
But I don't really like that.
I don't really like it out. Yeah. Well, let's leave that, because a number of headlines will be on the front pages of other papers this morning. So that's the Guardian newspaper this morning.
And flip to Leadership newspaper. Leadership newspaper pretty much leads with the same big story. 10th National Assembly leadership zoning formula unsettles APC aspirants battle ready. Let's take a look at the riders. Wase, Doguwa, Jaji reject Abbas as speaker. Ministerial offers. Bajabiamila faces impeachment over doctored rules. Southeast senators kick as APC unveils Akpabio for Senate President. I'm just wondering, still on the same issue, where that leaves the Southeast agitation, to occupy the number 3 position in the country, following their failure or their inability yet again, to fulfill that age-long agitation to take the office of the president.
Yes, I think it's beyond that now. The Southeast actually, they have the right. The Southeast has the right to produce the Senate president. If you're actually talking about the balance right now, the president is from the Southwest. The president-elect, we wouldn't know what will happen at the tribunal. The case is at the tribunal now, but as it is now, the president-elect is from the Southwest, and then you have the Senate president from the way they are talking about it now, it's coming from the South. The North, of course, having the and all these, we are just assuming that the House will endorse what the party wants and all of this. So if it happens that way, then it leaves the Southeast, playing the third fiddle again, if you like, and not even second fiddle. But all this will mean something, will be very important, would be significant if they are actually tailored for good governance, for impact. Because most times we talk for politicians, we talk for them. They just talk about this because of what it adds to their pockets, what they want to achieve. But if the argument is for good governance, for competence, then some would take a second look at the choice, because the argument is to the extent that the candidate for the Senate presidency seat is being compensated for stepping down for the presidential candidate, at the time of the primaries. Yes, these are political considerations. That's the point I'm making. For me, let the best hand emerge. Okay. But for balance, I think that the ruling party should have take a second look at the way they regard the Southeast.
Well, still on that. I mean, looking back over this Fourth Republic, out of the eight Senate presidents we've had, 5 have been from the Southeast. How significant is that in all of these permutations?
And actually, how many presidents that you have? Unfortunately,
I'm just asking. I mean, that's questions I'm asking.
We are talking about, I was discussing with someone yesterday, and we talked about balance. I said balance could just be in the immediate, or it could be cumulative, when you're talking about, the Senate is just about lawmaking. The most powerful position in the country today is the president of the country. So, if you're really talking about balance, trying to have the unity, we're talking about one united Nigeria. We should be talking about, and be frank, irrespective of the fact that I'm from the Southeast, and be frank here, that you should be looking to finding a way to give the Southeast a sense of belonging in national affairs.
But then again, there's also that...
and that will be by way of looking for the #1 position for them to occupy.
But then again, there's also that debate over electoral gains and the need to compensate the zones, that delivered on the votes during the elections.
That's wrong. That's wrong, please. I keep personally, I don't subscribe to this fact that when you win elections, you compensate those who voted for you through political appointments and all of those. You are government. Once you're elected, you cease to be the leader of the party, you're the leader of the country. So you are looking at how to galvanize. The governance does not know who voted for you and who didn't vote for you. Real governance is about providing for common good. Even criminals, sometimes until they are convicted and given the justice they deserve, they have their right to an extent. So that one does not vote for you. The moment you win, you become president of everyone.
That sounds like Uhuru, and it's a long walk to Uhuru in the Nigerian palace. But there are a number of other stories. Tinubu may travel out as northern youth seek probe of Buhari's aides. Bandits abduct 40 worshippers in Kaduna. Those stories begging for attention. Let's leave it there for leadership newspapers.
Well, we're taking a look at New Telegraph now. They're focusing largely on the presidential election petition tribunal, and you see right there on the front page, presidential poll, tribunal asks Obi Tinubu to reconcile documentary evidences. Okay, so they must be presenting the same kind of evidence, or maybe the evidence that they present must tally. Maybe that's what they're asking. Page 4 is where you get to see details. As parties brought heaps of documents, adjourns to tomorrow for hearing. To hear Atiku's petition today, dismisses AA's petition against president-elect, warns parties against technicalities. tribunal sat under heavy security presence. So it would also happen that there will be plenty of focus on the election petitions tribunal. I don't know. I want you to give us your first impressions, even though we've been told that the tribunal already began sitting, and it was yesterday that the hearings, substantive hearings, started. What are your immediate impressions in terms of how this has proceeded?
Yeah, thank you, Maokbe. I think the question should be, why the delay? Why the delay? Why have we waited to this? I don't know the challenges. I don't know the restrictions and whatever, for the tribunal. But right now, what's agitating my mind is why we had to wait to just 21 days or 20 days to swearing in, of a new president before the tribunal could just, set the ball rolling. And now we are in a hurry. Of course, we have 180 days to get this sorted out, but I would have preferred a situation where the tribunal, started earlier than now. I mean, if you've been reading contents on the internet, you would have seen some, speculations and some suggestions about, what could have been done. There are some aspects of those petitions, that could have been dispensed with by now, and before looking into even the substantive matter, things that are easier, to look at, So I think the problem we have with justice dispensation in Nigeria is this issue of the turnaround time, the issue of delay. And sometimes I am tempted to believe that they are deliberate. The judiciary actually has to do a lot to discharge itself this time around. I think that Nigerians are expecting to see justice to be truly dispensed, truly served. Whichever way it goes, let Nigerians see that actually justice, is actually done. And I'm sure, looking at the composition of the panel of judges, you could see, some hope. Even the parties yesterday, I was reading their comments, and they were all optimistic that justice could be served. Haruna leading the panel, and then there are justices of the appeal court, justices of the appeal court from Asaba, from Ibadan, from Kanu, and the rest. The team is a strong one, but it will only be strong indeed by the time Nigerians see that justice is served. So I'm worried about the timing. What could that be achieved before May 29? And Nigerians are very expectant. Not just Nigerians, the world is looking at what could come out from this. I'm sure you know. And judiciary by now, I'm sure the judges themselves, they know that all eyes are on Nigeria and on the judiciary to at least show some glimmer of hope. That's for now. That's what I think. My thoughts on this: that a lot needs to be done to restore confidence in the judiciary, and then and that confidence will be restored through the way and the manner justice is dispensed, and the timing, and of course, they've talked about removing all technicalities, trying to fix the substantive matter. To what extent that will be kept will remain to be seen. But all eyes are on the judiciary right now. Thank you.
All right, let's leave it there for New Telegraph.
And we take up with the Vanguard newspaper with this headline: Presidential election petitions hearing, avoid technicalities, delays, court warns parties, lawyers. That story continues on page 5. A plethora of other stories there. The one below that: 10th NAS APC zone Senate presidency to South Northwest gets speaker's slot. But the one that I want us to talk about is beside that picture of a discharge certificate presentation to Transcorp Power Limited is this story. In the middle, religious politics will destroy Nigeria. Governor Sule warns. That story is on page 13. Let's look at that a bit. How much of an effect does religion have on our politics, and what can be done about it? What do you think?
Unfortunate, very unfortunate, very, very unfortunate that we've sunk this deep into religious politics. And that's the bane of Nigerian politics and even governance right now, the consciousness of religion. And I keep wondering for right-thinking Nigerians, to what extent would I feel as a Nigerian, would I worry about who governs me? Whether he's a Christian, whether he's a Muslim, as long as he does the right thing and the economy is working, everything is working, justice is served, everyone has his right, nobody is victimized. When we have people who govern with conscience, the right conscience, we wouldn't bother about religion. We wouldn't bother, even ethnicity, we wouldn't bother much about ethnicity. But the problem we have today is because there have been so much bad governance, there have been so much ineptitude, so much, the essence of government is to work for the common good, to provide security, to provide welfare, to provide, to make sure the public utilities are there. And first and foremost, there is security. So when you provide security and provide the rights, when I talk about security, it's not just physical security. You talk about security, economic security. When you have financial security, economic security, and personal security, national security, and there's fairness and justice, nobody will worry about what kind of religion you practice. That's a private thing. But unfortunately, it has become the major issue in our politicking today. Everyone is talking about, is he a Muslim, is he a Christian? I don't worry about who emerges as long as the person does the right thing. In fact, I would want a better, most people today who say they are Christians or Muslims are not really true Christians and Muslims. They just bear Christian, they bear Matthew, they bear John, and automatically they become Christian. Most times they don't even believe in the Bible. And then you see people who don't even believe in the Quran because they bear one Islamic name. You say they are Muslims. So who are the true Muslims? Who are the true Christians? The point I'm making here is that it's actually diversionary for us to begin to talk about it. But that's where we find ourselves. And because it's that sensitive, we would need to balance it. That's why the issue of Muslim ticket became an issue during this electionary period. Issue of where the candidates came from became very prominent. And I think we as a country also have to be sensitive about that because of what it has become. So in our political dispensation, in our distribution of political offices, we need to be conscious of that because it affects the level or affects the magnitude at which the citizens accept leaders or trust their leaders. So we need to be sensitive to that. Otherwise, it does not really matter to me, but it's a problem in Nigeria which we need to really deal with. Nigeria must be a secular state that the Constitution says it is, and getting there is a different ballgame. Yep.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Mbamalu. Thank you. And that's all for the Vanguard.
This Nigerian newspaper right quick this morning. APC OK South-South's Akpabio for Senate President, that's the lead of the paper, zones Deputy Senate President, Speaker to Northwest. Southeast gets Deputy Speaker, Senators-elect reject imposition. That one you find in inverted commas. Insist on electing presiding officers. Kalu Izunaso vow to run. All of that you'll find parked on page 4 of the paper this morning. Right under that page, the picture you see there, tribunal suspends hearing till May 10. Obi others storm court as Atiku PDP seek live broadcast of proceedings. That one is on page 12. A lot has been said about those already. But look at that picture. From Sudan with joy, tears. Fifth batch of 129 Nigerians stranded in Sudan on arrival at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, yesterday.
some have been said about that, but the challenge has always been, how do we ensure this doesn't happen again?
What doesn't happen again?
The delay in bringing
intervention and trying to intervene. Of course, that has been, if you don't have a system that works, our problem is not actually that we have leaders who don't rise up to the occasion most times. I think we have more of a systemic problem. The institutions not being put right. We don't have the right institutions to do the right things at the right time. That's the reason we keep talking about having strong institutions as opposed to strong leaders. Because of our military mentality, from the military background that our leaders have had over time, we've been ruled by military over a period of time, and even have had military personnel transmuting to civilian leaders and all those. So, our mentality has been that of that. So it creates a kind of an issue for us to build strong institutions that could stand the test of time, that could respond, even without intervention, respond at the right time. You had issues.
That's not a question for the leaders. It's a question for the people in the systems, isn't it?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
No. But leaders, you are as good as the system is as good as who puts it in play and who directs it.
Well, I guess we'll have to. There's going to have to be a lot of debate on it because the leadership is on various layers, both political and public office.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you on that.
Okay. Well, again, as I said, maybe it would be time for your organization to organize a national symposium on that one, so everyone knows what it's supposed to do.
Sure.
That's instructive.
Unfortunately, we're out of time now. Well, we have to thank you very much this morning for being here with us. Dr. Marcel Mbamalu is publisher and editor-in-chief, Prime Business Africa. He was editor of The Guardian newspaper. Thank you so much.
Editor at The Guardian newspaper.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, we're back right after now to take on the issues for the day, one of them coming up right after this break. Stay with us.